When building your own camper van, it really helps to learn from other people's experiences, especially the things that they would change or the mistakes that they made.
So that's what we're about to do. We are gonna let you in on all the things that we would change about our camper van so that you don't have to make the same mistakes we did.
Start by saying that this is our second camper van build. So we knew from previous experience what worked well and what didn't.
Yeah, so like Ben said, we built a camper van in 2017 and we were honestly broke when we built that van. We had dwindling bank accounts and we thought that a camper van would be a good way to travel and explore the United States on a limited budget. And so all in with the vehicle, the registration fees, and the whole build itself, we spent less than $300.
Say what?
Or $3,000. It would be crazy if we did it on 300. Less than $3,000. And we had like zero building experience. We used borrowed tools and we did everything in 1 week. So you really don't need thousands of dollars or a ton of building experience to jump into van life.
And honestly, if we can do it, anybody can.
You can do it!
Yeah, and so that first van, Vinny, we were so proud of that van and we loved it so much. But there were a few things that we knew right away that if we ever did another van build, we would change them. So let's start by going over the things about this van that we did differently.
One of the major things that we upgraded from Vinny was to have a high roof. I'm 6'1" and I just cleared this one, so it works out perfect for me. In Vinny, it was a little tough to do dishes, change our clothes. You would kind of be hunched over because it was such a short van, and this, having a high roof, is so nice.
Another major upgrade we made in this camper van was we added a toilet, which is right underneath this cushion here. In our first van, we had no toilet at all, and we made do, we survived.
I know this isn't the best time,
but there were definitely some frantic early mornings where I made Ben drive around searching for a coffee shop.
when you get a chance to pull over,
For any kind of public restroom. And even if you're parked in the wilderness, where it's okay to go to the bathroom outside, it's not the most comfortable if it's raining or cold or windy.
but I gotta go. What am I supposed to do?
So having a toilet in our van really has been game changing. And the particular toilet that we chose to go with is the Nature's Head composting toilet. And it is a splurge. They are not cheap, but it is amazing. We're both obsessed with it and could not be happier with this upgrade. A couple years ago, we rented a camper van in New Zealand and we had a cassette toilet, which just was not great for going number 2. We never used it for number 2. It had smelly chemicals and stuff like that. So we're really, really happy with our composting toilet.
Another big change for this camper van is that we installed a pretty robust electric system. In our last camper van, we basically just had a plug-in inverter, which we needed to run the car to charge our phones or our electronics. And when we were parked, it was really difficult because it would drain our car battery, and we actually had to get jumped a few times, which is not the best scenario when you're living in your van. So we built a pretty large electric system for this van, and we're very happy with it because we are travel bloggers and we need to charge our laptops, our cameras, and our phones while we're on the road.
Another major change that we knew we would need to make in this camper van was a better situation for our window covers. In our first build, I made some curtains and I was very proud of them. I got a sheet from Goodwill for like $3 and made them in the curtains. So they were very inexpensive and they did the job, but they were made out of such a thin material that light would come through pretty easily. So like if it was a full moon or if we were parked near a city street where there were street lights, it got hard to sleep at night. But the worst part of those curtains was They also gapped on the sides just a little bit, and I remember a couple times seeing people trying to like peek into our van, and I was like, that's creepy. One night we were parked at a campground and Ben went out to pee, and when he was walking back to the van, he could see my silhouette in the van. I was like changing clothes and he could see through the curtains, and I was horrified. For this camper van, I made some pretty intense window covers. These are insulated and magnetic. They slap right on and they stay. There's no gapping, no one can see inside. Plus, with the insulated material, they keep us really nice and cozy in the winter time, and during the summer it helps to keep it cool in here. So these are like 100 times better than the curtains that I made for that first camper van. So this is a very good upgrade. And also, if you're curious about making these yourself, I've got a tutorial that I will link to in the description below. If you buy these pre-made, they're very expensive, so you'll save yourself a ton of money if you just go down to that tutorial and make them yourself.
Another big change in this camper van is the added insulation and ventilation system that we have installed. In our first camper van, we basically just bought it, and it was a Chevy G20, which was a passenger van, and we didn't add any insulation or exterior fans. So in the summer months, like in the heat of Utah, it was really hot, and all we had was this like little USB fan that we'd blow on ourselves at nighttime. And then when it got the colder months up in Washington, we would actually feel a lot of the cold come in because it wasn't insulated. And so we would have to bundle ourselves up with tons of blankets and wear hats at night. It just wasn't ideal. So for this van, we wanted to upgrade that. We also installed this Max Air fan, which does a great job to circulate the air within the van. It does a great job keeping us cool. It has a remote control and 10 different speeds. So we love it and we highly recommend it. We also have a video of how to install a Max Air fan that you can click on right here.
Another major upgrade between this camper van and our last one was we had a significantly higher budget to work with. It's not an upgrade per se, but a lot of the decisions as you're building your camper van do come down to money and how much you have to work with. So that is worth keeping in mind. And a couple pieces of advice that we would give you: two things. First of all, before you start your build, be sure that you have come up with a realistic budget for your timeline and for what it is that you're trying to build. And secondly, track your expenses, like everything. Track every single nail, track the paint, track all of your materials, because if you're not keeping track of those expenses, it's incredibly easy to blow your budget. While we were doing this camper van build, we actually came up with a budget tracker for ourselves to hold ourselves accountable. And we're sharing that with you in case you want to use a budget tracker as well. It's made specifically for a camper van build. So we have linked to that resource down below, so be sure to go grab it. Like I said, it's totally free. And hopefully that'll help you stay on track with spending as you are in the process of your camper van build. So just to recap, some of the things that we've upgraded since our previous camper van build are the high ceiling, the addition of a toilet, our more robust electric system, our window coverings, and the insulation and ventilation system. All right, let's dive into some of the things that we would change about this camper van.
One of the biggest things that we wanted to change about this camper van was it didn't have any hot water until yesterday. We installed a water heater, and now we can do dishes with hot water and shower out the back with a hot shower.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited about this upgrade. All right, another kind of like silly mistake we made was we went a little overboard with outlets, and we kind of installed them in weird places. Like one of them is back here, and it's like a pain to even get to. I don't think I've ever used that for charging anything because it's just difficult to access. You can see another one is back behind this cushion. So again, it's really difficult to access. And on a related note, Over here, there's this little switch panel, and this one right here is for a refrigerator, so we can turn it on and off. But if you see right here, there's a little light, and it doesn't look like it would be a big deal during the daylight. But trust me, at night, this thing is like right where we put our heads at night, and it's just so obnoxious. It's like right in my eyes. We've tried to put this little piece of painter's tape over it to cover it up, but as you can see, the light still shines through. It was a very dumb decision to put a switch with a light right by where we were going to put our heads at night. And while the light is really annoying for the refrigerator, it's a good idea. We have our solenoid switch, which is for our propane, and it also lights up. That means that we know that the propane is turned on, and if we ever see that at night, we would know right away to turn it off. So that's kind of a good trick to remind yourself, if you do have propane, to turn it off. Another upgrade that we might make is our refrigerator. So our refrigerator was about $250, which if you've done any research for camper van refrigerators, you'll know is a pretty good price. They get to be very, very, very expensive. For the price, we've been pretty happy with it. That said, it is definitely not as efficient as some of the more expensive and nicer ones. There have been a couple days that have been cloudy or rainy where we're not drawing a ton of energy from our solar panels, and so we've had to turn off the refrigerator for a couple hours at a time in order to conserve energy and not drain our battery. So if we were to do another build and we had a little more money to work with, we would probably upgrade to the Dometic or isotherm refrigerators. I believe they start around $800 and up. Some of them go up to around $2,000 depending on the make and model. But I think if we had the money, it would be a worthy upgrade for sure. All right, so another thing that we really wanted to make happen in this camper van, but just were not able to figure it out, was hammocks.
I tried for so long to try to attach some sort of system to our roof rack so that we can hang out in these hammocks that are dangling off the side of our camper van.
We saw a couple people do it with like steel rods. And we bought steel rods and we bought hammocks.
And I just couldn't figure out the way to do it. I tested it out and I sat on it, and the steel rods started to bend and everything. I'm like, oh, I might break something.
Yeah, he like, when he was done testing it out, the steel rod had a kink in it, and I was like, yeah, that's not gonna be safe. So now we have like these rods and we have these hammocks, but we just were not able to make it work.
Maybe I just needed to lose a lot of weight.
Maybe in our next camper van, we'll be able to figure that one out.
Yeah. All right, another thing that we would change about this camper van is for these upper cabinets, you kind of
they're a little squeaky.
that would be one thing.
WD-40.
But you also need to hold it up with one hand as you grab everything else. I did try to install some hydraulic struts in here, but they were way too strong, and it wouldn't even close. It would just stay open. So for the time being, we just have to deal with opening it up with one hand and grabbing things. In the future, hopefully we can find some sort of lighter weight strut.
Yeah, it's not too big a deal, but we do have to oil that. Yeah. All right, Ben, do you want to talk about your favorite one?
Yeah, this one is so silly. It's basically a brain fart that I had. So this upper cabinet here is where we keep all of our electronics and our valuable stuff. And so we have this latch and lock, so it gives us a little extra layer of protection. However, someone pointed out in our last video that this latch was put on backwards, and it should be more secure so you don't have access to these 3 screws. I just haven't taken the time to redo the latch, and that will be something that is on my to-do list. As we said before, we insulated our van with sheep's wool, and we put it basically everywhere. One spot that was a little bit tricky was these pillars right next to the windows. We tried to stuff the wool as far as we could up in here, but as it's gotten colder throughout the winter, we've noticed that this is kind of an area where it does get cold. So if we were to do it again, we would probably do some spray foam up in these pillars. There's like a product called Great Stuff foam spray that kind of expands and covers an area to insulate it.
One of the very first mistakes we noticed about this van was right when we pulled out of the driveway on our first adventure. This bottom drawer slid right open and we had a really hard time getting it to stay shut. This drawer is on soft sliders, which is really supposed to help it stay in place, and it works really well for these top 2. but it just does not work very well for the bottom one. I think the reason being is it's just too heavy. We also typically keep our like heavier pots and pans in there, but what we really should have done was probably divided this into 4 drawers to kind of distribute the weight a little more evenly and you know, keep it from being too heavy on the bottom. We have installed like a magnetic lock here and also a child lock, but they don't always work. I mean, we've still had this slide right open on a really tight turn. What we typically do before going on a long drive is we take this cushion, which thankfully is kind of a perfect fit, and we shimmy it down here. It's kind of like a MacGyver fix. And then we're ready to hit the road. This cushion actually helps keep that drawer from sliding around, and it seems to do the trick better than the locks that we installed. Like I said, we should have probably done 4 drawers here, but at this point we can't really change that. So that's what we got to deal with. And one final change that we would like to still hopefully make is set up a better system for watching TV. So when we were doing our camper van build, watching TV wasn't exactly on the top of our priority list, but it is nice at night to be able to unwind with like an episode of Friends or, you know, whatever. Originally, I had thought that it would be fun to buy an iPad and then somehow rig up some sort of temporary mount beneath this, beneath these cabinets, so that when we're laying down in bed or sitting on the couch, we can watch TV right up here. That said, we still have not bought an iPad. It's been on our list for like 6 to 8 months now, so gotta get on that. But yeah, having a better system than just watching it on our phones while we hold them would be nice.
All right, so that basically concludes the things that we would change about this camper van.
And like we said, this is our second camper van build, so we've had a lot of time to really think about what works well for us and try things out, and then also kind of realize what things we would want to change. So overall, we're really happy with this layout that we've designed, and like we've shown you, there are a few slight annoyances, but for the most part, it's been amazing. Yeah. If you really like our layout, we actually have our blueprints linked below, our layout blueprints. We hired a professional architect and had him make some renderings of our exact layout with dimensions and measurements and everything. So yeah, go check that out below. But kind of our biggest piece of advice is to not get too caught up in all of the details and trying to avoid every single mistake, because honestly, no matter how much time and how much money you spend on your camper van build, there are gonna be little things that you realize are just not working well for you. Definitely. And kind of like we showed you around our van, a lot of those things can be tweaked or fixed along the way. Don't let, what is it, analysis paralysis get to you. Like, just get started and you will start figuring things out.
Speaking of getting started.
Yes, we have put together a kit of free resources for anyone else who is thinking about building a camper van. We basically took all the things that we wish we would have had and made basically a free packet for you. So that is linked down below.
We're
totally
calling
free.
It the Van Life Jumpstart.
Yes, Van Life Jumpstart. So go get that. And yeah, as you can probably tell, we are obsessed with van life, and we just really want to be a resource for others who are getting started on their journey.
Yeah, and if you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel because that helps us out as well.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this video, and we will be coming at you with more van life content soon. Alright, it's kind of dark.
Hello! Another major upgrade.
We're the high ceiling, the... Okay. I'm forgetting this. Okay.
Oop, that's recording.
So we'd had a little bit of experience. We didn't just... Okay, come on. A lot of things are possible to be tweaked over time.
That's my part. And you don't have to get everything right the first time. Is that all I'm saying? What?
Yeah, we hope you enjoy this video. Thank you.
Talk to you later. Talk to you later. Let's try that again.
Okay, yeah. Can we do this whole and then start again?